Welcome to Botches Off-Road. Join us as we talk about everything from gear reviews to trail stories, tent camping to rock landing, and all things to do with the outdoors. Today is just going to be one of our regularly scheduled episodes. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Just going to chit-chat, talk about our builds, talk about what's going on right now, and got Alex and Mark here on the same line. How's everyone doing?
No,
Yeah,
life's
living the
good.
dream.
Can't complain.
Yep, you guys have a good night. Just stay up for the election.
Oh yeah, I stayed up. I went to the rally and then I stayed up. It was terrible.
Well, you were up all the way till I was up till 3 a.m. because that's when the last votes went in.
I passed out probably. Votes, I probably passed out around 11:30.
I was just saying, Caitlin told me you did, so I was waiting to snitch on you.
Yeah,
he was snoring next to me. But no, I stayed up. My buddy Hayden and I were watching the results and then watching some comedy and stuff on the side while we were watching it.
I mean, the results were pretty comedic.
Yeah. TikTok this morning was pretty interesting too. The View today, I watched The View, and that was
oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it fucking made me mad, dude.
But whoopee. Okay, this is the last politics thing. This doesn't need to be a politics episode.
No, it won't be. It's not what we're about, but
Whoopi cracks me up because if you go back, I think it was like 8 years ago, there's videos of her, oh, Donald, I love you so much, and giving him hugs and stuff. And then now look at what she's turned into.
No, there was I can't remember her first name. Sunny Hostin, something like that. I will say this before I go, since you mentioned Whoopi. She was talking about how sad the statistics were with women voting, as far as like the red side goes. And she was reading some statistics off and read out that 52% of white women voted for Trump. And then she goes, I'm assuming they're all uneducated white women. And and then went on, and other people tried to like cut her off a little bit. Like, I don't know if I would say that, like because as soon as she said it, everyone was like, "Oh fuck!" And then someone even tried to rebut her. I said, I don't think it was right to say that 52% of white women who voted for Trump are uneducated. And she's like, "But that's what they say. I mean, that's what that's what I could assume." And then they went on break a couple times and come back, and she tried to take it all back. Said, "Well, what the statistics say is uncollege." Or women who didn't go to college. And I'm like, dude, you already fucking... And you could hear it in her voice that she was speaking from a point of like passion and she was angry.
Right.
Which the whole cast was. They were all just saying stupid shit, but that is The View. And that's part of what makes America so unique is our First Amendment, the right to talk whatever stupid bullshit you want. And you know, and nothing happens. I you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it. A hot topic. This is gonna be our hot topic. This is of the week. But I think that media should not be so widely. How do I say this without like? I feel like free speech is extremely important, but I think there should be a committee or some kind of office that has to go through and I mean legitimately fact check without bias before these news places let the stupid shit fly. You know, because at the end of the day, they're hurting the American public and they're creating more bias and more of a divide between red and blue or between us people. And it hurts us more than it's helping.
Yep, I agree. There should be a Ministry of Truth. You heard it from Gavin first.
Ministry of Truth. I honestly believe that. And it's just like you have fact checkers that go back and fact check through the elections, through the debates. You have fact checkers that are always making videos after the fact. Why don't we have these going through? And this is the issue, is that they're so biased. You have like Fox that's which is in quoted like a red channel, and then you have
they're owned by liberals.
And then you have the ABC, which is like a blue, and it's like, and they're both slandering each other. They're both saying stupid shit, and all that it does is make it worse.
No,
So
I
there needs to
think
be something that one abolishes the red versus blue, which I don't. I believe in free speech. I believe that people should be able to say what they want to say, but I don't think they should be able to say it via a news. If you're getting your news, it should be factual and it should be informative to inform the people of real things, not slander each other and put like false rhetorics and fear mongering into people's lives.
I think that all of these public news organizations, your ABCs, your Foxes, your NBCs, they should all have something that watches them. But what's awesome is that we have another route to get our news, which is podcast. And this is going to be, it could easily be the year of the podcast, because you can say whatever you want in a podcast without anyone watching you. You know, and if you own your podcast, like little peek behind the curtain here, we own our entire stack from the ground up. We can say whatever we want and never have to worry about getting shut down.
And as a opposing side to that, that also leads to more disinformation. But because this is a podcasting platform, you have the right to choose whether you want to listen to that or not. Exactly. I think that if it's being put and broadcasted as national news,
yep,
like these big ones like ABC, Fox, NBC, all these big ones, I think that there should be a ministry of truth, and I think it should, brother. And I think it should regulate all of this.
No, I agree. All of your national broadcast news agencies, they should be monitored more. I mean, if someone wants to listen to Whoopi go off on how terrible Trump is, well, then Whoopi should have Whoopi should have a podcast, or The View should be a podcast if they want to tout that kind of crap.
Right. So, and obviously, like, talk shows are a whole different thing. Those are comedic. They're there for a different reason. But I'm talking actual news stations. If you're a news station or one of these big news corporations, they should all be fact checked. They should all be put through some rigorous fact checking before they're even released. And that's the hot take. And if you guys want to weigh in on any of that, I think, Alex, you agree there should be a ministry of truth. Mark, what do you think?
I mean, it sounds like something that should be a thing, but you know how it is.
It's so hard to go into that, because and this is why I paused when I first went to say this, is because it goes pretty in there First Amendment wise. Like how far are we going to push it before we're just not following it? But
it would make it very easy to twist and manipulate things behind our backs. Because let's say the Ministry of Truth decides that, Hunter Biden's laptop was fake news. Well, then everyone's going to run with that and won't be able to say otherwise.
It should be 100 people, 50-50, either side to start. And it should be fact-checking each other until they could come to an agreement. And if they can't, like a fucking judge and jury, if they can't come to an agreement, then that doesn't get out. I don't know. That's obviously not an actual choice, but it's just, let's say real quick that something happens at a college. A car runs through a college. Someone says, oh, it was a minority because someone did this. And then another news station says, oh, it was a white person because they didn't like a teacher. You have two conflicting stories and they're both bringing divide. There needs to be something in between that says, okay, the facts are this. We have this person in custody. It was this kind of car. And as a motive, there is none. So let's not create one.
Now, to kind of to bridge that, well, that's what we pay. NPR is paid out of our taxes, right? The National Broadcasting, whatever.
Yeah.
They're paid out of our taxes, but they went so heavily left. So now we're paying for one side to get, so now we're paying to have one side get all their information out and not the other side.
That's why we need a Ministry of Truth, baby. That needs to be on a T-shirt. America needs a Ministry of Truth.
1984. Hell yeah.
I think even was this, and I just want to double check. This is a Harry Potter reference, correct?
No, this would be a reference to the book 1984.
Oh, I thought there was a Harry Potter reference, Ministry of Truth or something.
They have the Ministry of Magic.
Or magic.
Same thing.
But
okay.
All right, on to your regularly scheduled stuff. Overlanding is a scam.
Yes, overlanding is a scam because of the tax. But for me, I don't know. I like paying a little bit of extra money for some fancy shit here and there. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, we know.
But to me, it works. I don't know. I like the most efficient and cleanest looking option, and sometimes that is the only option for me as far as like the ability to do it myself and or to have friends help. So I know that might pop up. Like Alex can help, Mark can help, but they're not gonna fab up a folding fucking like an extremely intricate and nicely fabbed system for me.
I told you I would.
Yeah, we're talking fridge slide. That's a little different from like
I was talking a fridge slide with a sink and a counter on it.
I want a roof rack that tilts with gas. Well, yeah, with gas. What the fuck are the struts underneath it that tilts up to like a 60-degree angle?
Dude, I love this idea.
Slide. I want to undo a latch and slide all of the equipment down, so I don't ever have to get on the roof.
Hell yeah!
That and then
hey, if your pockets are deep enough,
they're not.
If your pockets are deep enough, I would gladly help you build that because that would be fucking cool.
And so this is where I find, and can he do it? Can we do it with enough time and money and practice and tried and because you have to remember there's going to be a lot of mock-ups, there's going to be a lot of mistakes trying to get this done. So let's factor in how long do you think you could have that mocked up? I have deep pockets between your work week, between Mark's and Alan's work week for welding. What do you think?
2 weeks.
Bullshit.
if that is all I have to do with the amount of time
with your work week and everything
let me finish.
Like, yeah.
If that's the only project I have going at that time, with the way my work week is, I end up with a lot of time when I'm getting paid to work on my own projects. And I could hammer out a lot of that during the week.
I don't know. To me, I don't see that because I see the fact that I'm working, Mark's working, Alan's working. Any weld fab stuff is typically Alan's wheelhouse. And I don't know. I see that taking a lot longer. And the whole point that I was trying to get at is at some point you get to a realization that it's almost more efficient to buy it and have it done. And that's all that I was trying to get to. And I know you're not like discounting that or saying that that's wrong. I know that you have the ability to do it, but I think that's where overland tax and that's where overland scam gets people is because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to spend a shit ton of time building it because I don't get the same satisfaction that other people who build it do. Like, let's say it's the same concept with working on your vehicle that you like to do it. I absolutely hate working on my vehicle. That means I failed. That means I broke something. That means I failed. That means I have downtime from what I like to do from my daily driver. So I look at it completely different. And I think it's kind of the same. It's like if we're building something like that and it takes me 6 months to get, that's 6 months that I have to wait to utilize that. Or I could pay extra money, which for something that's pre-built that I could put on in a day and is ready to roll that I can utilize 6 months because time is not infinite, as we all know.
No, that big stuff like that, I can see where you're coming from, but little stuff, people spend buku bucks on something as simple as like hot take. The twin ARB air compressor. That's a lot of freaking money.
It is.
And you don't need it. You can get away with, like, say your little, or I guess I've got one now too. Those little dual compressors that we bought. This, it's the same one that Morphlate sells. They're fantastic little compressors. They'll do everything the ARB will do. Sure, they take up a little more space. Sure, you can't put them in your engine bay. But if you put an ARB in your engine bay, it heat bakes and then dies in 6 months.
I don't know. I've had a lot of people that have a long-lasting ARB, right? I mean, they're, as far as I would know, like, these ARBs are one of the best. I would say are they twin cylinder? I think they are twin cylinder.
They're twin. They're slower than
cylinder compressors. They're slower because they're not as large, but
they're slower and they die more often. There's a lot of people that have issues with those dying because they're installed in their engine bays, because that's where ARB, advertises them being installed. And anything like Jeep JK, most Toyotas, they run warm. Because they run warm, that little air compressor is getting hot and staying hot the whole time.
I don't know. It's a convenience thing, I guess. Is it... I don't know. If I could recess that into like a plastic access panel, I'd probably do that inside the vehicle.
Yeah,
I've keep it away from water and hot air, but
I've seen them put under people's driver's seats, and they last a long time like that. They're happy. Maybe not in Michigan because you're getting in with salty boots and that salt soaking into them. But
yeah, no, I wouldn't put it on the floor. But like, for instance, you open up my back door and you have the fenders, how they flare out, and they have access panels for like jacks and shit, which of course I'm not using. I'm not going to use my jack doesn't get up high enough anymore for that. But that would be a great place to throw the compressor in. And if I was to do something like that for the size, it would be an interesting option. I wouldn't do it, especially right now because I have the Thor's Lightning.
Right.
But I will say the Thor's Lightning is about nice crack. The Thor's Lightning is about a foot long, about a foot tall, and that's space.
Yep.
Space is like I said, it's finite. So if I start getting to a spot where I have more money than time and more money than patience, that might be a reality for me.
But
because
at that point, though, you're kind of buying into a scam. And those twin ARBs are not that expensive to make. So I'm not saying it's a scam in the sense of you're not getting anything for your return, because you are. There's just, if you're able to put that little bit of extra work in and work on the backside, it will save you so much money.
Yeah, but I can't make a twin cylinder air compressor like that.
You could make something about that size that's still twin cylinder.
I personally cannot. Period. If I could sit there and study all I want, look at the electrical, how to wire in electrical, solder things on, and install it, but again, by the time I figure out how to do all that, I'm wasting precious time on something that is $200 more than the fucking thing I have sitting in my truck.
How much are the ARBs now?
I think they're about I want to say like $450, $5.
I want to say more than that.
I remember being like $6. They're $580 on sale from $616.
Oh,
okay. I was thinking the 600 mark.
Or
I think a lot of our things is it's situational based off of, do we need this or can I even make this? This is the main thing. What a lot of people don't realize is very situational based.
Yep.
But like Gavin, you're saying something about a roof system popping it off and down. There is a system. I've seen it. I was looking at making one myself. At the time, I think it was looking at using, what was it? It's aluminum rails. It's extrusion rails.
Yep,
it was a good system. I was going to look into using that for a drop-down roof rack system I was going to make at one point, but that changed from what I was going to do.
That would be
going to
really
be on my truck cap.
That honestly would be pretty easy to do because let's say your roof rack you've got right now, right, Gavin?
Mm-hmm.
So we make an extrusion frame that goes all the way around it with crossbars, and then we put sliders on it, and then we put gas struts on it. All of those are easy parts to get and install. All of them are easy to lay out. It won't take us long at all. Now, all you do is flip the switch, the whole thing lifts up, and then you grab what drawer you need, and it slides down to you.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, in a perfect world, I would agree. But maybe I'm the glass half empty guy when I'm looking at this and going, there's a lot more to it than just, yeah, that's pretty easy to match everything up and weld it in, you know what I mean, to get everything to work just right.
I don't,
To where
with
it's
extrusion rail, you don't even have to weld, they bolt together.
No, you just bolt
Are you
together.
talking
You just
about the
gotta get
same
the
type of
hardware.
rail that like they're using for like roof racks and stuff? The
Well,
other
roof
guys?
racks, drawer systems, a lot of the
Yeah.
DIY guys use extrusion rails.
Well, what? Okay, and so as a finished product, I don't know if I want a shit ton of holes sitting in my. I don't know if I want mine to look like a fucking Lego. You know what I mean? At that same time, so
Well, at that point, you dress it up. I mean, it's not hard to make stuff to make it look prettier.
Because I know there's a system I saw that I was looking at
that's
getting.
different than what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that same railing of like what Nolan has on to make his roof rack.
Yep.
The slotted, like, I want to say it's like slotted like L channel type. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's what I was picturing when you said that, and that's why I was like, it's gonna look like fucking Swiss cheese, and I don't want that.
But no, extrusion rail is super cool. It's not cheap, but I mean that system you're talking about wouldn't be cheap.
No, I would say it'd probably be about like 6,000, something like that. But that
And
was just a theoretical, like that was just the first thing that popped up in my mind as an example. But to me, it's just I value my time more than I value the time that it takes to build that kind of shit. And like I said, like there's people that are like Corey from MST. He's talked about, I think, trying to build his own like rooftop tent.
Yep.
And you could, of course, argue up and down all day long that you could build one much cheaper with better quality material. Sure, but I don't have the time. I don't have the workspace. I don't have the tools. And at the end of the day, I don't have the craftsmanship knowledge, the carpentry knowledge, the fabrication knowledge, and any of the minor CAD knowledge you might need to fabricate smaller parts that fit just right for what you need. And that's why I pay other companies to figure that out for me so that I don't spend a year and a half designing this, which I hate. I don't want to. The time that I spend doing that, I could spend with my son. I could be camping. I could be organizing my vehicle in another way. I could take it trails. And that's how I look at it. I think it's, to me, because I don't already possess those skills and I don't have to, I don't see a need in wasting the time to do it. But I could definitely, if you do have the skills and you have the way to do it, for some of the guys that actually can build their stuff, absolutely. I absolutely I'm never, of course, I'm not saying that you should always build or buy rather than build. There are things that make sense. Like my drawer system is going to be built, not bought, but that's because I do have some of the skills required, and some past knowledge to do it. So,
and I'm not necessarily saying there's anything wrong with buying either. Yeah. I know I come off that way sometimes. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
Just to me, if I can save the money, I've got the time. I really do. I don't mind taking time off of wheeling if it means I'm building something no one else has seen before.
Sure. Yeah, and that's perfect. And that's great for you. Absolutely. There's like an analogy, not really an analogy, but I guess it was a video that I watched, and it was like a World of Warcraft game, and there was a girl that had worked hard, grinded her shit out, and she got some really cool armor and weapons, and she had the new guy out, and then he's like level 2, and all of a sudden he just bought fucking armor swords that match her same stats, and was like, all right, I'm ready to go. And she's like, no, you have to grind, you have to build it, you have to work your way up. And he's like, why? She's like, well, it's like it's cheating. It's like, well, she's like, it's cheating. You you didn't have to work for it. He goes, so that 40 hours I spend a fucking week, or 45, 50 hours I spend
Yep.
a week working my ass off to be able to afford an expendable income to use on this isn't good enough for you. And that's the same kind of thing. It's like, and I'm not saying that towards you, but I am saying that towards people who throw shade towards the buy not built or built not buy, because there are some people that are like, if you don't build everything on your rig, then are you really like, they throw shade at you for it. And there's just things that I have skills at that I can, and then there are things that I don't. And if I could support another company that has taken the time to do it themselves, which I have worked my ass off to have that expendable income to do so, then I
The,
will.
the only caveat I have there are a lot of companies right now that are taking a product that is not at all meant for overlanding and then making it look overlandy and then marketing it as an overland product.
And then as a consumer, you need to do your job.
Yep.
And research these, and then research if you really need it or if you just want it.
Right.
So my biggest, and I'll use an example for this, is the water systems and tanks right now. That is my absolute biggest and stupidest fight, because I know when I do get my roof rack, I'm probably not going to be able to have a tubed DIY water system around my roof rack area, because my roof rack and my tent is going to take most of the land that I have. Now, that's just stock. Obviously, this is stock Prinzu, stock tent. I might not have that land available stock. Can I get brackets? Can I make it work somehow? Probably. But then we have to think about the weight of the water. It's sticking out for branches, stuff like that. So I've considered it moving into the truck. But then I have something that holds, for me, I think 4 gallons is perfect. Between washing dishes, drinking water, etc. I think the 3 to 4 gallons is perfect.
Mhm.
We drink water. Right now, the kids, he's drinking milk out of a bottle, which we need water for. And then I wash my dishes and clean them off with water, etc. So like 4 gallons is perfect for like a 4-day trip. Anything else, obviously, I could stop at a camp and fill, or like a state campground and fill up. So I'm looking at like Domatics, just the water containers. Dometic has a 4-gallon rigid water container that's about a foot by a foot,
So,
or 10-inch by 10-inch.
how much is that?
That is, I want to say that container is probably $70 for the rigid container with the handles and spout, but it's made to hold on their. They have like a water fountain system, or like a faucet system.
So,
but I don't want, before, I know you're going to say that there's a way that you could build this or do it cheaper. So I'm stopping you before you say this, because I want to preface this and say that I don't want to do that in particular, because the faucet itself is $100 and I could buy it off of Amazon as a much cheaper system for $15. And they make non-name brand Dometic like containers for $40, $50. And so that's a consideration, but I have to think about how much space that's pulling. And that's like, and until I figure out what my end game setup is for the truck, it has been like my most difficult thing.
Mhm.
I've thought about doing a auxiliary water tank underneath the truck, strapped in like a gas tank, because I have spot for it.
I was
Throwing
going to say,
a aluminum plate for like if I hit bumps or anything like that to help guard it, and then
the
running a
only
water
thing,
pump.
the only issue with putting it on the outside of your truck is you got to remember we live in Michigan.
Oh yeah, that thing would probably, if I didn't drain it properly, it'd probably be cracked,
And you'd have to winterize the lines too.
Yeah.
So what I really recommend is, think about where you live, and stuff like water, you have to take that out of the truck in the winter. So your best route is to have something that is either something that obviously you're gonna have a tent in the way, but something that can go on your roof rack, or something that can go on your tire carrier, or something that you can put in the truck that is easy to remove when the time comes.
So that's where, and that's where I thought about the auxiliary tank and then just draining it. Because of course you could drain it, and if you pull your lines off, that's not a big deal.
Right, right.
So I thought about doing that. I thought about doing something inside of the truck, but my interior space is gold. So I have to think hard and long about if I want to do something like that. And I think what I'm going to do first is build the entirety of my back system up
Mm-hmm.
and then see where that puts me. And then build from there, see what I need. Because another possibility is I have my behind my driver's seat. I should in the future here have a delete in that area, and I might be able to hold it there.
You know
So
how sick it would be if we could find a tank that fills your entire cargo area, but is only like 2 inches tall, right? So it's really
yeah,
skinny and flat.
so there's an actual tank that would, you know how my seats angle back, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
our Toyota seats angle back on like a, what would you say that is, like a 20-degree angle, something like that.
Yeah,
Ready,
I'm bad at
something like
math.
that. Yeah, I'm
I
bad
have
at
no
math
idea.
too. Crooked your hand just a little bit, and that's about it. And so that you can't put something flush. Yeah, you can't put something flush against the seat without having a gap. And there are certain tanks that lay up against the seat that are kind of a triangle
Mm-hmm.
shape that will make that a flat edge, which I've looked at. But that extra 2 to 3 inches that those tanks take, I don't have length for most fridges unless I do a delete. But if I do a delete, then I don't need that fucking tank.
Well,
So
that's why I'm saying if you had a tank that was flat,
yeah,
I'm talking maybe it's 4 foot wide or 4 foot long by like 2 foot wide by 2 inches tall.
yeah,
Then you can put it underneath your drawer system without it taking
yeah.
up that very
There's
valuable space.
there's a couple of options. They have some that like um that move like just hang on to one side of the wall, and maybe I'll look for seeing if someone's got one that forms into where I have like my window area at. But at that point, I will be paying a shit ton of money for it, and um, I don't know. I would see about doing some L brackets to and extend some PVC out to just use that for a water container. But I'll see, because I would like to put an awning up with the tent. My end game is a tent with an awning with an XL 100 or 270-degree XL awning. That's like the end game because I need it for sun, I need it for rain, and I want it for comfort. And
Yeah.
I would like to have it over the, and I like the 270 XL awnings because they wrap around where I cook in the back of the truck,
Yeah.
which, as you guys knew from our Botches yearly trip, it would have been really nice to have one that wrapped all the way around so that we weren't all crumped up into one spot. But
All right. So this is getting into money, but I'm about to send you
yeah,
one. It's from Iron Man. And it's supposed to be vertical, but we could definitely make it work flat. And you could just put it under your drawer system without losing any space.
Oh yeah, this is the one that they were that I've been looking at actually to actually put in. I don't know if you remember seeing the back tailgate area of my truck, but I have a spot where I had my stove
Yep.
vertically, I had my cutting board vertically, and my pans vertically,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have fit right in with those, and I would have to do very little. But here's another option: I could put that same tank. You know that my fridge slide is about 4 inches wide.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I could put that tank right there in with my fridge. That combined weight should be still within the weight range of that all top slide.
Mm-hmm.
Mount that tank there. And then when I pull my fridge out or I need to fill that tank, it pulls straight out and I don't have to put like a hose inside of the vehicle when I fill it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick, dude.
Because it would be part of the slide at that point.
Right.
But then I've also looked at like roto packs with because I do have in my cart a roto packs mount that you could fit 4 cans on. And because I will be getting a diesel heater, I'm going to do 1 gas, 1 diesel, and maybe 2 water. And it's an investment, but you can connect the cans top to bottom or whatever it is,
Right.
like. So something I've thought about too. So we'll see. Like I
Roto
said,
packs are freaking expensive.
they are really expensive, but they
they
really
work
hard
so good.
yeah,
And
that's what I was gonna say. They're hard to
they
replicate.
look so good.
They look very good. The thing is too is that they have like no name, like aftermarket versions of them. But if you look at the reviews of them, they get such bad reviews.
I've even seen roto packs that get bad reviews though. So
Well, some roto packs do, but I think some of that's user error. They're like, I had one guy that was like, mine exploded, and then but he didn't.
It just sounds like someone didn't check the pressure vents.
Yeah, so I think
then he gets.
I think half of the bad reviews on Amazon or on any of these off-road sites are just fucking user error because people don't want to read the directions. Me including. I don't know that I ever read the directions. Okay, I don't ever read the directions until something goes wrong.
Right.
And then I have them and I read through them. And then I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, when I say overlanding is a scam, again, I don't mean that it's a complete scam because obviously it's fun and it's just there is so much money that you can spend on stuff where you could get the exact same thing, but maybe not overlandy looking for a quarter of the price.
It's the same thing with everything, though. Let me put this into perspective for you. You want to go to the gym. You could spend $4,000 on a fucking Bowflex to do the same thing that you're getting with rubber band or not rubber bands, but you know what I mean. Bands, weights, and body weight workouts. You could do the same thing that you're doing with all this expensive equipment. But
man, the Bowflex looks cool.
Yeah. So I mean, at that point, it goes back to that. I have more money than I have time, or I have more money than I give a shit, and I want the efficiency, and I want the because the Bowflex does fuck it, dude, we're still off. But the Bowflex does like pack down a bunch of different workouts into one area, whereas and a lot of it can be said for all of this other equipment too. This is where I'm getting at here. But I mean, it makes things more efficient. So is overlanding a scam?
Sometimes.
No, I think
sometimes it makes it more efficient.
No, I would say overlanding products typically have a alternative that might be better.
Oh yeah,
overlanding as a sport is not a scam. No,
not at all. Overlanding as a sport is not a scam.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying. No, as a sport, it's not. But overlanding products, I would say that I'm not as far on the scammy side as Alex is, but that's just because he's got more working build knowledge. I would say that if you really don't want to get taken advantage of, then do your research and check other sites. Etsy has a lot of custom overlanding equipment.
Etsy's sick.
Yep, Etsy's great. Amazon's got cheap overlanding. Use Temu, but use it without your account information. Like get a separate prepaid debit card and don't put obviously
don't put it on your phone. Make sure you have a burner phone to use it. Don't use your Google account. Have it sent to a PO box in another city.
And just be there at the right time and right place when it gets dropped. But no, I've had a couple people order from Temu and other places and get products much cheaper.
Oh yeah.
So I can't say that Temu is a bad option, but what are you really trading off for it? The world may never actually know.
All of your personal data, all of
Which,
it. Which
honestly, if you're talking about me, it's already out. It's been out. So I mean, at that point, I'm not losing anything.
We shouldn't have to be giving it up for cheap products.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, it's not cheap to me. I don't
But
know.
yeah,
Like, what do I have to hide? I'm not some like government conspiracy theorist.
doesn't matter. What if they decide tomorrow that owning a Hot Wheels car is illegal?
Well, they can come and take it.
No, it just
Most of our redneck ass community would say, and then we'd start
pry
throwing
it out of
tea
my
into the
cold
harbor.
hands.
Yep, you pry this bitch out of my cold dead hands. If you want to waste your fucking time and your life on my fucking Hot Wheels, aka whatever shit that you want to try to take away from me, go ahead. But there's reasons. There's reasons why riots and shit happen. Like the people won't stand for that shit.
You heard it here first. Gavin's inciting a riot.
I will take away my Hot Wheels. See what happens. These were given to me. These are gifts.
Yeah, no. I mean, building's fun, and if you have the kind of mind, and not everyone does, but you have kind of that engineering type mind where that's what you like to do, overlanding can be an extremely cheap option for you to get into.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to rough it a little bit, like we did back in the day, overlanding. I mean, I think my TJ build total, that was, lift, wheels, tires, truck, all my camping gear. I think I had like $14,000 in the whole thing.
And that's more than you need, really, for Michigan.
Yeah,
for
and that
Michigan,
one,
you need a stocked vehicle, some all-terrains, and some Coleman gear that you bought at a yard sale.
So I built that one for Arizona. So that one was a little more than what we need here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for like basics for overlanding, then look no further than your garage sale.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for real. Like you get an old Coleman roll-up sleeping bag. You get an old Coleman $20 tent, and if you're looking to begin, don't wait and spend a shit ton of money on something else, because I could guarantee you that you spend $800 on your Gazelle tent, and then you go out and take your Gazelle tent out, and then you're like, oh, I don't like how tall this thing is, or I don't like how much space this $800 tent puts up in the back of my Subaru Crosstrek. Like, then you're like, fuck, I have an $800 tent. What do I do with it? Oh, I'll sell it for $500. Nobody wants it. I'll sell it for $300. So start small, start cheap. And while it sounds stupid to spend that little bit of money at first and then work your way up, because at the end of the day, you're spending more money that way, it's better, because then you can actually personalize and learn how you like to overland and wheel and build up from there. So,
and that whole statement of buy once, cry once, that's fucking crap, dude.
Yeah, no. I would say buy once, cry once only applies if you know what the fuck what you're buying.
Yeah.
If you're just starting out and you go for not to pick on Zach here, but if you go for like the most expensive luxury rooftop tent that you got a good deal on, our buddy Zach, he got one of those off of Facebook Marketplace thinking it was going to be the fucking bee's knees, and it ended up really not being what he wanted or needed, and he actually went down to something else that was about $2,000 cheaper and more space. And he likes that much better. So, I mean, it's
he listens to this too, so he's totally going to hear us talk crap.
Well, it's not crap; it's facts. Like, you know what I mean? But like, so
let it be known first: the GMC Terrain is not the best overland rig.
Yeah. Well, neither is the Subaru Crosstrek, but that's neither here
nor there. Dude, Crosstreks are great. You blow them up on the first trip, you spend a bunch of money getting them rebuilt. Transmission goes out 2 weeks later. It's a great option.
I think the newer transmissions are all like snowmobile transmissions anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're CVT.
Yeah. I think mine wasn't a CVT, so I got lucky. I think my 06 wasn't. Not positive, but pretty sure it wasn't. But anywho, it's like, I mean, you start early. For me in particular, I started out with my wife and son. We started out in a cheaper tent, and after about 3 trips, I started to realize what I did need and what I didn't need. And I'm a big over prepper, big over preparer.
Definitely.
I have a case of mosquito repellents. I have a case of MREs. I have a fucking big bag of rope. I have 15 headlamps. And through the course of the summer, not only in experience, but through the experiences of camping and overlanding and trying to optimize it for my family, I've realized that 60% of the stuff that I had in my truck I didn't need. And if you go by that rule, I mean, I over prepped. I had fire starter and matches, like those stupid kits that you get like
Hmm.
out of the back of like the GI Joe fucking K-bar knives. I had like 2 of those just hanging around the truck because I'm like, you never know. Well, dude, I have
Now,
also 5 lighters. I have 2 fucking propane lighters. I have,
what's that fire starter you turned me on to? That super cheap stuff. That stuff worked
Oh yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So, and that's one of the things too is that you learn while you go is it's actually just wood stove fire starters that you can get for just starting a wood stove or starting a fireplace. And I bought mine at Tractor Supply, and I don't want what was it like 240 squares for like $20.
Yeah, well, it was
So
cheap.
240
Yeah.
fires for $20,
Well,
and it's you can't
we
beat
didn't
that.
even use the whole square. We were ripping it into sections.
Yeah. So I mean, it's it was a much cheaper option as those cheap or those expensive even, and this is where like backpack tax and overland tax get you too, is like they try to get you to buy these crazy like fire starters that are like fucking expensive and you don't need them. Half the time you
Like my
have most
brother.
of what you need. Yeah. Well, you have most of what you need out in the woods, and if you don't, if it's rainy or you just don't feel like it, those squares work just fine. So,
So
I
when I was
mean,
growing up, we never took fire starters with us. Dad would bring some newspaper out and a match, and he'd get a fire going.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there is a limit. I'm still over preppy. Like I buy 5 big lighters and I put 1 in each glove box and 1 throughout the truck. So I always have an extra. But that's mostly because I'm trying to make sure that I have fail safes for my own memory. But no, I mean I've gotten rid of, I think I would say, a good 60% of the inventory that I had in my truck. I've gotten rid of, and that is hiking and backpacking pots and pan sets. I got rid of 2 of those. I got rid of 4 hot dog pokers, 2 hobo pie makers, and I'm not throwing them away. Obviously, I have them for when I need them. But if you know what you're doing, if you know where you're going, and you have a meal plan set out, there's no freaking reason why you should have all this equipment already in your truck, and why
Right.
you shouldn't have it ready to go. I mean, I had the mindset that I would just have absolutely everything that I owned in my truck that I could go. But as I was driving more and I don't know, utilizing my space actually and utilizing the equipment, I realized I didn't need a good percentage of it. So I don't know. It's when you're first starting out overlanding, that's kind of the best way to snuff all that out is to figure out what you need and don't need. Obviously, a
The only
reliable fire
caveat
starter.
to bringing stuff you don't need is you can never bring the wrong tools.
No.
No.
I lugged a ball joint press for 3 trips, and we always said we'll probably never need this. We'll probably never need this. But then I did need it on the side of the road one day, and I was so glad that I had it in the truck.
Hmm. I would say that tools and spare parts are a massive part, and I don't think enough people carry spares and spare tools and parts. I'm one of them. I just started carrying it, and the only reason I started carrying it is because it's my old shit that I just repaired. So
Yeah.
I have a couple idler pulleys that are on their way out as a
Mm.
emergency backup, and a belt that wasn't bad but was on its way out. So I have spare parts, but making that investment to buy things like CV axles or knuckles, tie rods, steering components, the typical things that fail on IFS is probably pretty important.
Saying I only did it because I had I had a knuckle break, and now I'm like, well, fuck.
Yeah,
but then,
and group rides are one thing. We learned
Yep.
pretty well that during the Botches yearly trip that, it's nice to have a couple vehicles because we have one that can work with you. The other one can run out to town and grab the parts. Solo, you don't have that. So if you're doing it solo, man, you need to be prepared parts wise, because if you get stranded out in the middle of nowhere, and yeah, if you have self-service, get a lot of places. I don't know if you're overlanding like we overland, tow trucks aren't going in there.
No.
And you don't want to pay for the tow truck if it can get in there. That's the deal.
Right.
So,
I mean, I guess for the listeners, something we should put out there is, what are spares that we consider, important? Like for me, CV axles, alternator, knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and preface this with that we're talking Toyotas currently.
And I'm talking specifically the third gen.
Yeah.
The three things that fail the most are CV axles, alternator, and knuckles.
Yeah. On my experience, what would it be? Tie rods? What is the bent tie rod?
Mm-hmm. I'd add that too.
I would say idler pulleys. If you get in any kind of water or mud, they can get bad pretty quick, but usually you can get out with those. Alternators definitely one, because on Toyotas usually the alternators are mounted pretty low, so if you get in kind of water or mud situations, they tend to get gunked up and fucked up pretty quick. So
I would say, where's your guys' alternator?
Towards the bottom.
Mounted? It's mounted low?
Yeah.
I think mine's higher.
Okay, because mine's like midway.
I think mine's more midway.
Well, yeah, I would say it's not on the bottom of the engine, but it's mid.
That's where it's at on Sequoias.
But it's far enough down there that if you do any water at a pretty decent speed, it's getting wet. Any kind of deeper mud, it's getting wet. And mud, dirt, and water on electrical or anything running off of your pulleys is not good. So it's I don't know, if you like to be prepared and you want to make sure that you get your shit ready, then I would. So other than that, what do we think? Because we kind of went from talking about elections to is Overlanding Scam to spare tires. Oh, absolutely. If you don't have a spare tire, or at least I would say if you don't have a spare tire, you're a dummy. I love you.
Ouch.
I love you. I love you. But everybody should have a spare tire. That's like number one.
I just got to figure out a way to put it, and then I got to buy one.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Just throw it on your hood.
I'd never see out of that car.
I say mount it to your front bumper so that you hit the tire before you hit anything else. It's like one of those tugboats.
Get a hitch mounted receiver, because I got that front hitch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That'll make your approach angle nice.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, well, I think it's spare tire for sure. But if you don't have any kind of patch tire kits,
oh, then you're an idiot.
They're so small and they're so cheap that if you don't have anything, you're kind of asking for trouble.
Even like a glue tread, you can, with a glue tread, you can do the sidewall.
Yep.
I think I have a slime tire patch kit, and then I have some spare like rubber cores or whatever.
Yeah, I'd pull. That's what I keep in mind.
And if you don't have something, dude, they're so cheap. Why not? I mean, you have no excuse for it at that point.
Yeah.
But other than that, I would say if you don't have a fire extinguisher or a first aid kit, you're a dummy. Maybe that should be our next episode. We do a 30-minute. Are you a dummy if you don't have these? And then we, if you don't have a spare tire, you're a dummy. If you don't have first aid kit, you're a dummy. If you don't have a fire extinguisher, or any kind of comms to navigate out, you're a dummy. So, on that note, I mean, not to bring it into a whole different section, but I think that pretty much sums up our little Thursday chat.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was on topic 100%. There was no topic.
Yeah, there
so
was
it was on topic.
This is one of those episodes where we just kind of get together and just chill and bullshit because I don't know about these guys. These guys probably seen each other a couple times this week, but I'm busy with the kid. I'm doing my own shit.
No,
so
I'm out of town.
Oh, see, there you go. So
you gotta think he works like 3 hours from me.
Yeah, so we don't really see each other all that much during the week. So
no,
it's a good chance to bullshit, talk about what's going on at the same time. So we appreciate you guys for joining us. Alex, Mark, we'll see you next time.
Later.
Later.